All the wood has been refinished by Madeira. All the switches have been lubricated, disassembled, cleaned. Original radio harness and fader switch. The dash is back in, our gauge cluster. This is as good as it gets, guys. I have it nearly flawless. Guys, all the cars that you see in these videos are for sale on my website, www.woodsandbarclay.com. Enjoy the video. Hey guys, welcome back to the series on the Surf Wagon, the Surf Blue Wagon. In the last video, you saw me reinstalling the dash. Today, we're putting all of the wood trim back in the vehicle, checking all the light bulbs, and checking all the original wiring to make sure everything's 100% original how it left the factory. Okay, so what you can see here, I haven't put back in my upper dash trim yet, but I noticed that the original radio wiring in this vehicle had been chopped up a little bit, and the fader switch had been bypassed. So you can see now that I have put back in an original harness for the fader switch. And that harness, it connects right up here. There's our original Mercedes part number for this harness. Let's see if I can read that to you guys. Let's see, 123-820-6617. That is your fader switch harness that runs up through and plugs into the radio and then goes to the right speaker and the left speaker. And I always keep one of those in stock because it's so common for people to mess with that radio wiring. So this is an original genuine harness that I put back in the car, and I have tested our fader switch and it's good. So now what I'm testing is all of the lights, and I've replaced the bulbs here. These are the bulbs that plug into the back of the climate control module. So those are all good. And we have a good bulb down here. Let's see if I can turn this out. There we go. You can see it's lighting up down here, all the shifter lights. And we have lighting on the radio. So I've got all of the original wiring, 100% how it left the factory now. And we're going to go ahead and push in the gauge cluster, hook up the climate control module, put back in our freshly refinished wood trim pieces, and this will be refurbished back to exactly how Mercedes had it leave the factory. Okay, just a little progress update. We have these switches installed with the freshly refinished wood trim. We have the plate on the climate control, and this is going to actually slide back into here, and then there's a screw there and a screw there, and then we can attach our wood trim, and the wood trim actually has a metal backing plate that clips into here. I'll show you guys that. And here's that climate control panel. And you can see on the back of these, there's an aluminum plate, and they're these little dowels. Those just snap in. Now, before we do that, first thing I want to do is address the gauge cluster. So I've talked with Stone Belvin about this. Stone restores gauge clusters for all makes and models. He does excellent work. His website, I'll put it right here. It's automotivearchaeologist.com. But I talked with Stone about this, and we occasionally see this on cars with blue dashes. See, we have a split right there. And what we think is going on is, like I said earlier in the video series, the blue dashes, for some reason, they crack and they expand and contract more. And what Stone was saying is sometimes those blue dashes will contract and expand and reshape around the cluster, and it'll cause a split to happen right here. But not to worry, I called Stone, and he sent us a old stock, excellent condition replacement housing. Wipe the dust off here, but you can see there's no crack there. So what we're going to do is just pop these gauges out and just transfer them over to the original Mercedes housing. You can see original condition. I think your part number, I don't know if that's 87001-123. I don't know if that's the actual part number. Let's see. But anyway, that's an original gauge cluster housing for the wagon. So let's go ahead and just move these gauges over to here. Okay, before I swap these gauges over to our new housing, I just want to show you some things that we always look at. So on the back of a gauge cluster, they stamp the date right there. It's upside down, but you can see it says 1284. 1284. That one you can barely see, but it says 1284. So that means all of these clusters came together. There's 3 sections. So that validates that these are all matching. Now that date should be within 2 months of the manufacturing date stamped in the door jamb. And that validates that it's the original cluster that came with the car. And we'll look at that right down here. I think this is January of 85. Okay, yeah, right there. See, 185, 0185. So that's January 85. And our cluster is December of 84. So we validated this was within 2 months of the manufacturer date and all the date stampings match. So this is the original cluster that came in the car. You always want to check that, guys, because sometimes people will just swap out the clusters or swap out the center section. It'll have a different stamp and a different mileage. And you always want to verify that on your cars if you're looking at a low mileage vehicle. Now, it's sometimes hard to do that when you're going to buy a car. But for example, Pierre Hidari, what he'll do, he has a little camera snake that he can snake up behind the dashboard and then hold a screen in his hand and validate the numbers on the back of the cluster. Anyway, let's go ahead and get these transferred over. Now, what we also want to do is replace the dimmer switch. Now, this when this fails, you lose all of the lights along your dash for the windows switches, the climate control, the antenna switch, all that. Those lights will go out. And you also won't be able to dim your lights on your cluster. So Mercedes still sells these. They're made by VDO. There's our part number, 000-542-3625. And there's a 64 at the end. But that's an original one. So we always want to change that because that is a failure item on all of these cars once they're, 40 years old. All right, guys, these are easy to remove. You can see they're installed, this one first, second, third, because they overlap. Right here, you can see this metal overlaps this metal overlaps this circuit board. So we're going to start with this one. And we just take out our 4 screws. Set them aside. Now you might be wondering what this little piece of tape is. So from the factory, they would put a piece of tape over the holes that did not receive a light bulb. And this one's still here, it's starting to come off, but from the factory they covered that hole so the installers wouldn't put a bulb into that hole. Okay. This is our clock and our tachometer. We're going to go ahead and pull that out. Look how beautiful that is, you guys. We'll just set this aside. Now we'll take out our speedometer. We're going to take out our rheostat or dimmer switch. There we go. And what fails on these guys, this one's still in pretty damn good condition. There you go. But that spring causes resistance. And the spring, where it connects to the ceramic housing, will become detached. This one still works sort of good. It'll still dim, but it'll flicker on and off. So we're going to go ahead and replace it with a brand new one. And if you notice over here, this is like a printed circuit board on the other side. And the screws on that, they do have a little concave washer right there. So you want to make sure you install that back when you transfer them over. And that's it. Now we're also going to replace the bulbs once we get it transferred over. Okay. There we go. All right. Look at the beautiful condition of these. So let's set down our speedometer. Actually, I'm going to go ahead while I have them in my hand and just transfer them right now. Not sure if you guys can see that on camera. There we go. All right, let's come over here where you guys can see. All I did was just set those down in there. Now we'll go ahead and put this one in. Get it lined up. Okay, guys, there we go. That is it. All right, we'll go ahead and start putting these screws back in, and then we'll get our dimmer switch installed. And you can see this is the exact same manufacturer that made these originally for Mercedes. I'll show you. This is still the exact same manufacturer. You can see the nice new bright white one. This one has some age on it. So let's go ahead and get this in. There we go. Now let's make sure it works. There you go. You can see it turning in there. And we'll just put our one screw back through here to hold it in place. There we go. Now also, this is the odometer reset. So we're going to make sure I installed it correctly. And there we go. It just reset the odometer. So when you see 000, when I get this back in the car, that's because I literally just reset it. Okay, mission accomplished. This is a beautiful original housing. And here's the one that came out of the car. Exact same part, but we had the crack. So let's go ahead and get this reinstalled back in the car. Oh, first I want to change my bulbs. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, there's two types of bulbs back here. One of them, let's go ahead and turn this one out. There we go. One of them is this type. Now that's a self-contained unit. See if you can actually change the bulb. But let me show you how they come. There we go. There's some new ones. They actually come pre-assembled like that. So let's go ahead and stick this one back in here. All right, we'll go ahead and change this one. There's 6 of these. Put a new one in here. That's as close as I'm going to get right there. 272 1MF or 043.085, 12 volt, 1.2 watt. Ashtray. And those are going to be good for the next 30 years, if not more. Now, the other type of bulb we have are these right here. These little brown, there's 2 of them. And you unscrew that, and that comes out. There we go. And we can actually pull that bulb out and replace it. And I'll show you the part number. There we go. Let's just replace that one. We'll just put it right back in here. There we go. That's a fresh bulb. And it will screw that back down. Let's see, 2821524.788. And this is a, let's see, 12 volt, 3 watt. Now, some guys will actually put 5 watts in here to make them brighter. That's not a good idea. It will melt the little like fiber optic plastic channels that direct the light in there. So don't put 5 watts in there. Okay, so we have all new bulbs and a new dimmer switch. Time to put this back in the car. Okay guys, we got the gauge cluster in. I'll show you that in a minute. And what we're doing now is transferring the switches from the old center console wood over to the new wood. Now, this wood, wasn't in horrible condition, but the problem was, you see how this was redone, but the rest of the wood wasn't? See how it doesn't match? There you go. See how it's a different color? So I went ahead and had all the wood redone. So now you see these new pieces, they're an exact match. You see that? So that's why we're transferring all the switches over. There's these little tabs you just press down and these pop out. There we go, got that one. Man, that one was in there. Okay, get that switch out. That's our hazard. We'll put that in there. Now, the driver's window, you can see this button is a little worn. That's just from people clicking the window up and down a lot. So I actually want to replace this, this top part of the switch here so it's not worn off. And I'll show you how we do that. So this one pops out like so. All right, and then our mirror switch. I'll go ahead and get that one out. And we also want to save the rubber boot for the shifter. And guys, these are just pressed on there. They're not glued on or stapled or any of that. We can easily transfer that. Okay, we're going to set this piece aside. Now what we want to do is just take off the top of this switch here. Now you can do that, guys. Just probably just delicately on that side and delicately on this side. There we go. And that switch popped out. Now what we also want to do, I want to clean underneath here. These driver switches are always real dirty because that's the one everybody uses. So to do that, we're just going to take out the internals. There we go. And now we can clean this out with some compressed air and a little deoxit. Let me show you how to do that. Okay, this stuff is electronic. Basically, it removes oxidation, improves connections. It's has a flushing action. It's safe on plastics. It's an electronic cleaner, electronic spray. And all we do is get in here. We're going to spray that out real good. And then I'm going to get my compressed air and blow it out. That is cleaned up very nice down in there. Any dirt and debris from, using that driver switch is now out of there. Okay, guys, here is the important part. So, Mercedes made a couple of different versions of this switch. And we can see this one. It has the 2 little springs in there. See, these are just little springs down in there. And it has the sticker logo. So let's go find a match. Okay, this is the station where I rebuild sun visors and switches and all that. But, okay, yep, see, that's another driver's side switch that has worn off. But look at the one down below. We can grab this one and move it to the front position. So first I want to disassemble it. It looks like it's the same switch. It has that same round logo. Let's just make sure. Okay, we found several. Here's actually a rear switch. Let's see. I like this one right here. Okay, that's the exact same Mercedes original part number. So, and if you noticed, See the window icon? That's a picture of a window rolling down. It's pointing the same direction on both of these. So it's funny, at the factory, they would sometimes, see this one was stuck on the opposite direction, or they grabbed one from like the passenger side, or this was the passenger side. So I like to get the windows pointing the same direction on the same switch. So let's go ahead. We'll pop this one off and we'll see if it's the same design. Okay, beautiful. Same design, same internal parts. See? So let's go ahead and put this switch on here. So I'm going to clean this up just a little bit. Okay, that one is nice and cleaned up. Okay guys, before installing the new switch, see, I've got a little bit of grease on my screwdriver, and you just want to dab a little grease on those springs that are on the switch, and that's how they did it from the factory. All right, let's go ahead and pop the switch back in. Okay, the camera died right when I was dropping it in there. Sorry about that. Let's get this other one. And you can also see there's a little LED light down in these switches, and we want to check to make sure once this is back in the car that those correctly illuminate. Those normally don't ever burn out. All right, so now we got our little rockers in place. You just want to drop your BB right on top of the rocker. All right, there we go. So that's ready to be reassembled. Okay, guys, there we go. See how nice that looks now? We have an icon back there, and listen to it. It's got the correct feel, the correct click. It's a Mercedes part number, genuine switch. So I've got to go ahead and pop out this one and those two, go ahead and clean those up, reassemble, and then let's get this center console piece back in the car. Okay, guys, one more thing I noticed. The hazard symbol is very faint on the original switch that came out of the car. So here we go. That's a genuine Mercedes part number. And the hazard switch is bright on this one. I just grabbed this one off my shelf. So let's go ahead and put this one back in so we have a nice hazard icon. Okay. There we go, guys. That is ready to go back in the vehicle. Beautiful condition. Now, before we put that in the vehicle, while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and replace the wood on the ashtray. Okay, here's the ashtray. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it actually has, oh, there it is. See that little crack in the polyester resin right there? So there's my excuse to redo all the wood. But this is pretty easy to take these apart. There's two screws here. All right, got that one. All right, there we go. And we got that one. Now, once you get this piece off right here, see, once this is disconnected, this front piece just slides off. So we'll go ahead and clean up that a little bit. And we will slide on our freshly refinished piece from Madeira. Now you can see down here at the bottom, it has this little wooden step, and that clips in right here. So you can see, here we go. Now this wood is genuine Mercedes wood. When you buy the junk aftermarket stuff on eBay, it's not going to have those little pieces, and it's going to come with like double-sided sticky tape. We can line up the existing holes in the wood. There we go. Right like that. Original Mercedes wood ashtray restored, and it matches beautifully because I all had it redone at the same time. Look how nice that looks. All right, let's put this stuff back in the car. Okay, guys, I've got the floor mats out. I'm just doing some final detailing under the floor mats. That is, it's great condition under here. I'm just vacuuming and cleaning under the mats, and I've got the mat over here, just cleaning that up a little bit. But we'll get that reinstalled and show you the completed interior. Okay, just vacuumed and cleaned all under here. All the original insulation is still beautifully intact. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and get the floor mat back in over here. Now let's go to the seat back nets. We'll fix those, and then I'm going to show you the completed interior. Okay, I have the seat backs out of the car. You can see the beautiful condition they're in. But I see this problem on just about every single 123 chassis that comes in the shop. The nets are sagging, and it's usually from kids, pulling on the nets. That's usually the cause of it. But what we want to do is remove this backing piece here. This, let's see, what would you call this? This frame that holds the net. And then we want to retighten the seat back net so it's not sagging and it looks better. So let me show you how I do that. You just have to be real careful because this frame is plastic and it's they're brittle. But you have a screw here. Take that out, and you have a screw over here. Take that out, and we'll just set these pieces aside. Now our frame is disconnected now, but you see these little clips here, here, and here. What you have to do is slide it upwards. And you got to do this without breaking anything, which can be tricky. There we go. Got that side up. There we go. Got that side up. Now, once it's pushed up, now you see these clips are going to the right. Then you have to push the entire assembly over. Okay, there we go. So let's set that aside. And here is our net. Now we can see right here, we have a little clip that fits right in there. We can pull that clip out. There we go. Now this clip is just has some alligator teeth on it, and it's crimped on here. We want to undo this and slide the clip down until our net, there we go, is taut again like that. Let me show you how to do this. I take a little right angle pick, and I just put it down in those little alligator teeth, or that crimped on clip, and I hammer it down in there to open it up. All right, once you do that, you can slide that little clip, you can slide it down. There we go. We want to get it about to the length that we want. I think right about there, maybe a little more. There we go. A little bit more. That looks good. Now you just crimp it back down. There we go. And we clip off the excess. And you put it right back in the little retaining notch. There we go, guys. So we removed about that much excess. All right. Now I'll also take this as an opportunity to go ahead and clean the back. This is already pretty clean, but I'm just going to clean it a little bit before reinstalling the net. And this is MB Tex, and I just use a little glass cleaner, and it works great on MB Tex. Okay, so now I want to set the net back on here, and then we want to turn it over. Now we got to get our center pieces in first. There we go, right there. And then we slide it to the right. Then we get all our other clips in and then press down. All right, there we go. You don't want to crank these down, guys, because you'll crack the little plastic. Doesn't that look way better? There's how it was before. Now, looks way better. So let me do the other side and we'll get these back in the car. Okay guys, you can see I have the seat back nets reinstalled, and what I've done now, I'm servicing the rear window regulators. And window regulators on the 123, the rear ones, they can be problematic, but if you service them and take care of them and lubricate them, they'll be fine. So you can see I've already got the door panel off, and this is the original plastic membrane. So I'm just going to pull this up here and tuck that around. And you can see here's our regulator. And I can actually see at some point this regulator was replaced. So that's actually a new regulator. So what we want to do to make sure this lasts long is we want to lubricate it. And I'm just going to put some grease down in here on the slider. There we go. Get that good and greased up there. Now let's run that up and down a couple of times. Make sure everything is functioning good. Okay, so since I have the door panel off, you can see the switch is not attached. So I have my little 12-volt jump pack, and I'm just going to manually operate that window. We're going to make sure it goes up and down okay. And on the back of this switch, you have a black wire and a green wire. That is where you want to insert your 12-volt power. Oh yeah, that's very healthy. And let's go back down. Very nice. So now that that's lubricated, I'm going to go ahead and roll it back up, and we'll reinstall our door panel. Yeah, that's a very nice. I'm glad there's a new regulator in there, so that's a bonus. To reinstall the door panel, first you want to glue back down the protective membrane, and let me show you how I do that. All right, guys, this is just a generic Permatex, says Body Shop headliner and carpet adhesive. You can also use 3M Super 77. You can use, there's several different glues you can use, but we lift this up and we see the factory glue that Mercedes sprayed on here. So we're just going to spray it in the same spots and run along the bottom. All right, easy as that. And you just want to line up your holes. There we go. Perfect. Now I'm going to put a little up here. There we go. We'll fold that over. And there we go, guys. That is how you reattach that. All right, let's go ahead and get our door panel reassembled. Then I'm going to service the other side, and then we're done with the interior, and I'll show you guys the finished product. Okay, guys, we got our door panel all reassembled. Just need to tighten down the last two screws under here for the armrest. There we go. All right, guys, we are officially done with the interior of this vehicle. Check that out. All the wood has been refinished by Madeira. All the switches have been lubricated, disassembled, cleaned. Original radio harness and fader switch. The dash is back in, our gauge cluster. This is as good as it gets, guys. I have it nearly flawless. And let's go ahead. There you go. Beautiful condition. Look at that wood again. There we go. There's our seat back nets, all retightened. Back seats. The interior of this vehicle is done. Door panels. A little wrinkling is normal on 123s, guys. That's how it is on these cars. but that's original. All of this is original. Everything you're seeing, even the wood. There we go. All the original carpet. This is kind of cool. You know, you got the dog net that pulls up there, or the cargo cover that pulls out here. But that's all original, you guys. 1985 300 TD with 65,000 miles. Let's go take one more peek over here. We'll do the back seat from this angle. And we'll do the front seat. You can see all our new finished wood. Beautiful gauge cluster. Look how bright orange those needles are. Beautiful dash. That's as good as you can restore a vehicle. Doesn't get any better than that. All right, guys, I'm in the car. I'm going to turn off the light here. And I'm going to turn on our headlights. And you can see, it's hard to see on the camera. See, I can dim and brighten the lights. It's much brighter in real life. It's just hard to see on this camera. But here's the big part. All the light switches now correctly brighten and dim. We have all new bulbs. And we can see there's the window switches. All that is operating exactly how it would from the factory. And guys, that also includes the original clock is still working. Everything is 100% working. Now remember, when I put in my rheostat, I pressed the reset button and set that back to 0. Those are not all zeros because the odometer is not working. That is because I reset that when I installed my dimmer switch. And that's legitimate. 65,602 miles. And you can also see all the interior lights. Everything's been, all the visor mirrors have been rebuilt. Fresh bulbs. Same goes for the passenger side. Everything is perfect, working exactly like it did when it was new. All right, guys, that was a lot of work. That took us a lot of hours to, you know, we completely went through everything in the interior of this vehicle. Removed the dash, vacuum pods, climate control, radio, wiring harness, lubricated windows, redid the wood, fixed window switches. I mean, we went through everything on this interior, and this is as good as it gets. Now, stay tuned for the next video. There's like 3 or 4 more videos coming where I'm going to get into the mechanicals. I'm going to go under the car. We're going to rebuild all the front suspension, wheel bearings, seals, brake rotors, calipers, rear SLS leveling valve, accumulators. And when I'm done with this car, it is going to be a new 1985 300 TD. I'm not cutting any corners. I'm going through and replacing all the mechanical parts underneath the vehicle. So, including the axles. I even got some new axles. Now, yeah, here's all these parts over here I'm still going to install. And after that, we're going to do the engine compartment. There's all the zinc plating. There we go. There's all the zinc plated pieces that came back from plating. And over here, there's a leveling valve, accumulators. We're going to do engine mounts, tie rods, steering shock. I mean, all of it, guys. So stay tuned for the series. Got a few more videos to go, and we will see you guys next time. Take care.